Great. Hi, guys. Pierre, welcome to the stage.
Thanks.
Someone who's taller than me in the cannabis industry, which is nice, nice to see. I'm also feeling these chairs are not quite big enough. Thanks for joining us. Just quickly introduce yourself and tell us who you are.
Hi, my name's Pierre van der Hoven. I'm involved in quite a few different areas of the industry. One of them is Silverleaf Investments. We've got a fund. We invest in cannabis projects. And then I'm involved in the actual operation and a consulting company. So we think a lot about the environment, where it's going, where it is, what's legal, what's not legal, and you introduced me as I'm going to tell you where the money is. That's the real question right now.
Where is the money, Pierre, right now? Is this a long or a short answer? But where are we at in terms of investment in the industry?
I was hoping you'd answer that. Ask that. Yeah. So my view is the biggest problem in the industry now is lack of capital. There's a lot of ideas. The legislative environment's changing. I'm not saying it's game over. We're a long way from the end goal, but it's changing. If you're a businessman, you're not thinking about next week. You're thinking about next year and the year thereafter. So it's just a matter of time. It's coming. We need money. We need to back entrepreneurs. We need to find projects. We need to establish our country where it should be, is not only the owner of a lot of the IP and genetics, but a world-class producer, and then we must industrialize it and turn it into a production and job creation engine.
So it's kind of chicken and egg, because we need legislation to move forward to get the money in, and the money won't come in until legislations move forward. Where do we work it? What should be our angle as an industry?
Okay, can I try to answer by way of example? I don't know if anybody in this room was in the era when we thought getting a permit was the most important thing that could happen. I hear a knowing chuckle. Now we're in the era of getting medical licenses, and before we know it, if we can believe our minister, we're going to be in the era of getting hemp permits. So wherever we are right now, it's going to change. It's going to change quickly. So we really need to think what's happening next, because that's where the opportunities. We need to plan for those.
So what is happening next? Where's the next big move, do you think? I mean, obviously there's a lot of talk about hemp.
Okay, I'm not going to talk about hemp.
So I don't want to go into that, but what do we need to do to bring this online, apart from legislation? So if legislation tomorrow opened up, would we be ready as an industry to capitalize on that?
Yeah. Okay, so we got a lot of money that came into this country initially, and it got scared. So we need to get our political situation sorted out. What happened in KZN last month doesn't help any of us. We got to get our act together in terms of legislation, because it's a legislation that the bankers look to. Okay, if we don't get the rules right, you're not going to get investment. That said, it's a rough estimate. I think we've already had over 5 billion rands worth of investment. But the question is that investment now turning into profitable businesses? And that's the question. So the big capital gates have not been opened. So it's angel investors, it's wealthy entrepreneurs. There's a couple of corporates in it, but the real money hasn't arrived. Now, this is an ecosystem, so this needs to become Sandton City. You know what I mean? And you can't do that without money. So political, legislation, regulatory, if we unlock that, we've got a good financial system, our banking system's trusted, we've got a lot of investors who cannot afford to be not to be in the cannabis sector. It's a booming sector in Canada. It's going to boom in America. It'll come here. It'll become the cool thing to get into. And when that money comes, the question is, will they invest in your business? And the answer is only if you run a good business. There isn't a slam dunk. If I get a license, medical, I'm going to print money. There isn't a slam dunk that if I grow hemp, I'm going to save the world and make money. There's the value chain, and everybody's got a role. But if we unlock the top gates and try to fuel the industry from the bottom, we've got a chance to do something really special here.
So in light of that, there's a lot of sort of small businesses here. There's a lot of people running small cannabis businesses, some totally legal, some not so legal. What advice would you give, in light of what you've just said, to someone wanting to start a business in the cannabis industry? Do you think it's a good time? What advice would you give them?
Yeah, I think it's a fantastic time. It couldn't be more exciting right now. I'm going to use it by way of example. What would Silverleaf invest in? Now, I've got 3 of my colleagues with us, and we came specifically to have a look at Plet. Thank you, Plet. It's always great to come back to Plet. I couldn't imagine in my wildest dreams I'd be sitting on a stage in the Plet Community Hall talking about cannabis. I mean, it's just... Anyway.
Oh, how times are changing, huh?
Yeah. So we look at the full value chain. We start with cultivation. The next thing after cultivation, what do you do with it? If you're hemp, you need to decorticate. That's big numbers, factories. We're not in that league. Okay, you want to extract. If you're talking cannabis, we're in that league. We're looking at laboratories. We're looking at testing standards, the support services. Some software companies, we're looking at retail. We're looking at brands. Most of all, we look at the human being. If you are a successful business and you're small and you need capital, you're welcome to come chat to us, but you better have a business. And that means having a business plan and a budget and all that kind of stuff. But that's Silverleaf's, that's my little pitch for Silverleaf. This is not a hobby anymore. And a lot of people are going to regret this change. And sure, maybe we're going to lose some of the essence of it, but change is coming. And it's time we shared this industry, but it's going to get hectic. And you've got to be good at your business. And if you're good at what you do and you've got a good business, you will be funded. Not now, but I guarantee it, in a year's time, there'll be a lot of capital looking for businesses in this particular market.
I think, like you say, this is an industry, it is a business, and it needs to run on business principles. Yes, you've got the culture. It's also important that we keep that culture, but you have to work on business principles. People who invest money want returns, and they want to see the metrics. So I think that's also something as an industry, especially that comes out of an illicit kind of situation where no one's checking your books. You know, you're not having to file tax returns. There needs to be a sort of psychological shift that yes, it is cannabis, but yes, it is an industry, and we need to mobilize as an industry and professionalize. Do you think that we need to work harder at that?
Yeah, we're at the beginning. The whole world's at the beginning, but we are behind the rest of the world. So it's easy. If you really want to know something, look what's happening overseas. Cannabis is the fastest growing industry in the world. Now get your head around that. That's bigger than Bitcoin. Okay, the numbers, and I can start wheeling them off, it doesn't matter. It's big and it's growing at a speed, and we are going to go with that wave. As much as we look internally, it's all us and our government. There's a wave coming that we can't stop. And we have to professionalize. We have to get academia involved. We have to get the engineers involved. We have to get the top MBA businessmen to run big corporations. We need them. We mustn't fight them. We've got to build an enabling environment and hopefully build an industry that everybody's got to change. The people who are only in this for the money, no thank you. If you only want to turn us into farmers and extract raw materials and sell it back at double the price, no thank you, we'll do that. If you want to be exclusionary, that this is mine, no, you know, we must create something where we share. The farmers need to be looked after. That's something I'm absolutely passionate about. I grew up in the Transkei, going up and down that coast. And one thing nobody can deny, the prohibitionists, the sort of rabid other side, is that those farmers have been growing for a long time. But okay, that's great, so they can grow. No. They've had a market for the last 80 years that has bought their product and hasn't sent it back because it's poor quality against competition from all over the world. Okay, let's start there.
But what's happening with that? There's constant talk about the farmers, but there's nothing real narrative from government that seems to be activating anything tangible at the moment.
Yes and no. There's tenders coming out all over the place on entrepreneurship programs. One of the businesses I'm working on is a training business, and we want to set up training farms all around it and train laborers, because not only do you get them trained, You get those farmers into the mix, and you get their name and their phone number. Now they're part of a system. And when the entrepreneur says, I need staff, he goes, anybody got a certificate? Exactly what you're trying to do at a different level, okay? So maybe that's a starting point, and you get people into the system. I think the system can learn from these farmers, but but get them into the system, fuel it from the bottom. But you need the industrialists. You need, and we're trying to do this stuff. I'm talking to Ayanda, he's very modest. We're trying to raise money to build the decortication factory. If you want to build hemp, you have to build a factory. We're not the only people. We're looking at building extraction plants, if we can raise the capital. And yeah, we're trying to build this industry. It's
you made a point just now about looking at what's been done overseas. Obviously, very developed markets, especially North America and Canada. But why? And I think I agree with that philosophy. Let's look overseas. Let's see what's working and what isn't working, and then let's bring that in and adapt that. But the government doesn't seem to be doing that, because they're trying to almost recreate this ecosphere from nothing. Where's the disconnect? Is it us not connecting with them properly, them not connecting with us? Where is this disconnect coming from, do you think?
Yeah, that's a very tricky question. Ayanda covered a lot earlier, and he spoke about his frustration and anger at government. I want to just go in a different angle. We just come from COVID. We had a messed up government anyway, okay? So why do we suddenly expect it to work? Sorry. So modify your expectations, and it is changing. There is a lot more going on than people realize. So to simply sit here and complain and bitch at government, they're doing their best. Let me tell you what the problem in government is. A personal opinion. I'm not here as a Silverleaf person. This is me, Pierre. There's no knowledge. Okay, so how do we fix our knowledge? We get entrepreneurs like these guys to start an academy. We get training. We get investors. We start getting this ecosystem going, because we should not rely on government. We've got to tell government to be an enabler. But anybody who thinks that you can come into this industry and go, I'm not going to listen to the government, I'm afraid that's not the industry we want to create. There's rules. You've got to follow the rules. Pay your taxes, I hope we get other rules, like start at the bottom, share. We get some soft rules, economy, save the climate, all that kind of stuff. If we lay that as a bedrock, we'll have something special. But it's got to be, respect the law, no corruption, that kind of stuff, basics.
I agree with that sentiment. I think, fighting government and shouting at them is not the way forward. So let's flip that around. As an industry, what can we do? What can everybody out there who's involved or wants to get involved, what can we do as an industry to make the life of the authorities easier? How can we mobilize and make things happen for ourselves?
Yeah, I think to build any successful business, just be good at what you do. If every one of the people in this room became experts in what they did, we've got an industry. We've got the beginning of something that can be multiplied. So, some people choose to be activists. We need them. Some people choose to work in government. We need them even more. We should respect government people. Help them, do what we can. But they must also accept we need corporate bankers, okay? We need financiers, we need money, we need lawyers, we need environmentalists, we need agronomists. We need real skilled people as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We have some action going on here. Great, Pierre. So just parting shot. The next 12 months in South Africa, in the South African cannabis industry, how do you see it playing out in the next 12 months? Your glass ball, what do you predict?
I think we should offer to take some questions. I'm very happy to do that later if you don't mind. Okay, next 12 months, hemp's going to happen. That's going to overwhelm us. The whole world's going to wake up in our country. Sorry, not the whole world. The whole country's going to wake up when hemp starts. It's a trigger. It's a low contention trigger. Once that hemp is out of the bag, that's going to start a massive process which will highlight cannabis. And eventually the government will realize, I think in a year's time, that adult use is a political imperative It's not a if, but, maybe, and we'll do it last. You have to do it now, because to get the small farmers included in the hemp industry is difficult. And why do that? Use their strength, create an adult use market and protect Pondo land. No hemp there. Just leave it and buy that product, and then you've got an ecosystem that can feed it. So I'm hoping in federal legalization, capital will come here in big numbers and dollars, big amounts of money. And they're going to ask one question. I'm X in the industry. Who is the best in that sector in this market? I want to buy that company, and it's not about the money. So if you want to exit your business, you better start now.
Great, thanks. We're going to take 2 questions. We're not going to pass the mic out, so if anyone has a question, just wants to stand up and ask it. Any questions? Ish, you're a quiet bunch. Okay, well, there we go. No questions. Any parting shots, Pierre?
No, thanks for having us. Great to be in Plet. It's a privilege to speak here, and as I say, this is the first cannabis event in Plettenberg Bay, I assume. Okay, well, to the organizer, sorry, I haven't met you yet, but congratulations, well done. Thanks for having us. Bye.